Our plan to defeat the climate crisis is fully embedded with environmental justice. And the term environmental justice is all-encompassing. It starts with making sure that we understand who the first victims are frequently of the climate crisis and pollution. Today I was here in Philadelphia meeting with a community group called Philly Thrive. It's a community that is trying to take care of the consequences of pollution from the gas refinery that exploded that you may have heard about. And this was a community, a lot of black folk live in this community that is suffering just like the community I met next to the Marathon oil refinery up in Detroit. These are the communities that have been breathing the most pollution. The average black American breathes about 50% more pollution than others. And now are the first victims of the climate crisis. The folks in the low-lying areas in New Orleans we think of right now, which are frequently some of the poor areas. The folks in Little Haiti that I visited in Miami, which is actually in a higher level in Miami, but people are now being forced away from the seacoast and they're displacing the Haitian community in Little Haiti and Miami. So our plan basically will first assist these communities through this problem. And I'm proud that our bill, which was a 100% clean electricity grid bill, has one of the first plans to subsidize, if you will, the utility costs of people who are exposed to these problems because of poverty, very importantly. And we need to embed those concepts, including in where we build infrastructure. So we know we're going to build infrastructure in the future. We had to focus first on helping the communities that are suffering the most, which usually are communities of color, indigenous communities, communities of poverty. The third thing we need to do is, as we build the millions of jobs, which we will do in the new clean energy economy, we need to make sure that those are well-paid jobs, those are union jobs. So in my bill that we just passed in the state of Washington, we give preference to jobs or companies that pay prevailing wages, that respect union rights if the workers have voted for it. And so these are all concepts of environmental justice, and we actually will be rolling out in detail our comprehensive plan here just in a few days. I hope people will look at it. Well, my state, Washington State, has a tradition of leading the United States to a world that is more just and verdant. And it's because we believe in the power of diversity, we believe in the power of community, we believe that we shouldn't have a trickle-down system, we should have a middle-class up system. So this is sort of traditional, and we've done many things, including advances in healthcare. We were the place where the first group health practice started. We are one of the first to provide health care for young people, and our Apple Health program has been very significant. And now we've wanted to take the next step forward to universal health care, and that is that we have now passed, and I have signed, the very first public health care option in the United States. We wanted to make sure that all Washingtonians have access to insurance by making sure all Washingtonians have a publicly sanctioned plan. This not only gives people additional coverage to access universal health care, but it also, we believe, will help keep costs down for everyone, and no matter how your insurance is accessed, because it will drive down costs once we have a state-sanctioned health care plan. We think that's very, very important. Now, that's not the only thing we're doing in healthcare. We've been one of the most successful states. We've got 800,000 people now insured. We've kept the medical inflation rate lower than most every other state. We have one of the most active and aggressive efforts to defeat the opiate epidemic by, in part, preventing people from getting addicted in the first place. And many states are looking to us for leadership, as they have in so many occasions, to prevent people from becoming addicted and help them when they are addicted. So I'm proud of our state. We've led many things. And while we have done these things, I should point out, it hasn't hurt our economy. It's helped our economy. Because healthcare is an industry and an employer itself. It's one of the reasons we have the best economy in the United States. Well, the first most important role in our federal government is to remove an individual who has fanned the flames of division, who has never missed an opportunity to give license to racial hatred, who has never used his position of leadership to bring more love and less hate. And that means we need to make Donald Trump a blip in history, because that is a very important position in our nation, where it is one that can be used to inspire us to greater virtue and greater unity and greater tolerance and greater diversity rather than the opposite. And that's what we have suffered. And we have suffered because we have a person in the White House who's very insecure, and he has decided intentionally to use the power of fear rather than the energy of hope. And we need a new president to restore that. Now, there are many things we need to do legally as well. We need to develop a civil rights law so that everyone in the LGBTQ community is protected in all of their civil rights, just like we have in Washington State. We have to protect the trans community in a variety of ways to make sure they have access to health care. We have to embed in our schools the anti-bullying systems to prevent bullying from our children who based on their individual lives. We need to embrace a civil right to women's right of choice in our country, and I believe that is a freedom issue. And it is an issue that does involve equality for women and everywhere else for that matter. So we have much work to do. We've done it in Washington State. We can do it federally. I would tell my teenage self, get ready to be President of the United States, although I doubt I would actually do that. Listen, I don't know that I would give advice to my teenage self. I've had a charmed life. I've met a woman when I was 15 years of age, and I've been married her for 46 years. I've been able to serve in public life now in multiple districts. I've beat Republicans quite a number of times, which is a pleasure in my view. I've got 3 sons and 3 incredible daughter-in-laws and 3 grandchildren. And they've all now supported me in this effort to step forward and help the nation defeat the climate crisis. And I think whatever I did as a teenager worked out pretty well, because now I can fulfill a pledge to my grandchildren that on my last days I'll be able to say I did everything humanly possible to save my grandchildren and yours from the disaster of climate crisis. It's worked out pretty well.